Where's all my Sturgia mains at? Let's ride along with young Beowulf here. And you can see he's a ginger stud, ready to kick ass and conquer. But you know you gotta climb that ladder. And when I play Sturgia, I like to climb that ladder ASAP. Right when I hit Clan Tier 2, I'm vassaling up. And when you consistently have to fight two-sided wars on the end of the map, the more the merrier. So he's happy to take you. And then as soon as I could, I went and talked to Papa Godin here. And I paid handsomely. A very large chunk of my money to marry sweet Svanna. And she's worth every penny. Look at her. That full-frame Sturgian breed. Bear you some sons that'll conquer empires. Where is that little minx? There she is. Look at her. She's got that two-hander I made her. And she got that bow and arrow. I gotta tell you, you think she's vulnerable without the shield, but the horse archery keeps her out of trouble for the early part of the battle. And then when the lower troops spawn in, now she comes in with that axe. I mean, this woman has killed legions. And, God, she's hot. That's how Jarl of Oklahoma loves them. A double scoop of daddy issues. And now we're off to war. You know what? Let's just do this battle since we're here. God, I love this game. Look at these battles. And look at my boys. Talking about castles this video, and let me tell you something. This is what makes castles awesome right here. Noble troops, right? You guys all love those bow and arrows, don't we know? But let me tell you, the Druzynic champion right here, he says hello. Look right here, partner. 200 one-handed skill. Legionnaire, 130. Valandian Sergeant, 130. Axeman, 130. Druzynic champion, 200. Put a captain on it with some perks that buff it up, and these guys will mulch. And when we talk about siege defense, you guys always brag about the Fians, and let's be honest, they're pretty badass. But sometimes those sieges can get man-to-man, and when it gets close up like that, these guys with their one-handed skill and those axes they've got, and these big-ass shields, they are phenomenal at siege defense. So if you get yourself a Sturgian castle, I can't recommend them enough. Now, this isn't my shield breaker build, but I do have a build where you buff up all these throwing axes and you can just melt the entire front line. This is still kind of effective, but it's not as good as if you're the captain buffing them up. If you want to take a look at that shield breaker build, I got a whole video on it. Even got a little highlight reel showing it off. Just let it rain axes for a long time because they have a bunch of them. And now you can sit into your troops. Piece of shit. Huh? You want some of Jarl of Oklahoma? Give me my... Get the fuck out of my way. Where's that little bastard at in that glowy helmet? You mother... There he is. I'm gonna... Is he down? Yeah, I got him. Suck it. Well, you gotta love about a nice Sturgia playthrough. I know how much you guys love those Fians and Banner Knights, but don't be disrespected, my Druzynic champions. I went ahead and just made her my steward. I figured, hey, that's plenty of stewardship for me. Plus, I like that she stays with me the whole time because her number one job is to grow the clan. And look at this queen. Son, 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 maybe daughter now. I mean, she just... Oh, God, I love her. I love her, I love her, I love her. And that's why I got to get back to work. You know what I mean? We're going to need a bunch of food because they're going to be big boys. There's no better place to get bad advice than the Bannerlord subreddit. Every time I'm on there, what do I see people saying? You don't want a castle for your first fief. You really just want cities, so just give the castles away. Oh, that is such a bad take. There are some awesome advantages to having an early castle. First off, castles kick ass, and I think they're really cool and they look awesome. And I've been playing with castles since I was a wee lad. So don't come telling me castles aren't cool. Also, in Bannerlord, what do castles grow? Well, if you come over to the villages attached to castles, you will see that they grow noble troops. This is your noble troop line. The idea of a big garrison is great in theory, but when you really start to get into it, there's some real drawbacks. The first thing is that the larger your garrison is, the more food it consumes. So you can see right there, my garrison size right now is -8. If I make it so that I only have 62 axemen in the garrison, then the garrison food penalty comes down to 3. So the larger your garrison is, the more food you need to feed it, and that's a real problem under siege. especially the castles, which can be very vulnerable to being starved out. Remember that if your garrison runs out of food while under siege, your garrison will begin to rapidly deplete until they're all gone. So if you stuff 300 troops into your garrison, what's most likely to happen is the enemy army is just going to wait until it starves it out, and then all those 300 troops you've been paying for aren't going to be in the battle. So anyone who encourages you to maintain a massive garrison, I can't think that that's good advice. The number one way to defend a castle, in my opinion, is to wait until it's under siege, be outside of it, and then use your influence to build an army big enough to crush the one besieging your castle. That's what I like to do. Once you start crushing big armies, you're going to get all the influence, or pretty much most of the influence you spent back. This is why I always tell people not to use archers of Sturgia. People argue about it all the time, like the Sturgian archers aren't that bad. And like, no, actually, they're objectively terrible. And half the time on a Sturgia campaign, it's snowing or raining, which is the worst weather for ranged units. So you got the worst archer in the game fighting in the worst conditions to be an archer. It's like ridiculous. Any other unit on their roster would be preferable. Oh, one thing I want to show you about this castle is great. Once you get to where you have fire pots, you can pick up the fire pots right here and come over. Look, there's the siege engine. You can just throw them. That'll level your athletics, it'll level your throwing, and it will decimate enemy armies. And now it's time to party. And we're going to come in here with the big cleaver, and we are going to take out the trash. I guess they're going to come through this gate, but it's taking them a little bit. You can hear them. They're gassing out over there. I mean, wasn't expecting this door to be made of that Sturgian oak. Looks like they're going to finally get through it here, but it's taking a bit. Gonna have to sharpen that axe, my man. That's unacceptable. Oh, here they come. We're a little short, guys. Maybe some more fellas down here. Hold the door till the reinforcements come. Boy, they better get here quick. There's a lot of fellas. There's a lot of fellas. That's what I'm trying to show you, Bannerlords. Sometimes you think you've got this siege in the bag, and it doesn't play out that way. And look, I had another 700 coming. So what level of garrison would I have needed to hold off the 1,500 Valandians? Nevyansk Castle right here, one of my favorite castles in the game, because it's right out here all by itself, wedged between both the Battanians and the Valandians. And so every time these factions declare war on Sturgia, they come right here first. And you'll see it's kind of unique because Sturgian lands are over here, right? But right here, Nevyansk is actually, you'll see, the culture is Sturgian. So you can get Sturgian troops all the way out here, but you just roll around here and you hit enemy armies that come within range. You can cut them off from getting to the castle. Maybe, yep, there you go. And then you just hunt them down. Now, I've seen a lot of people suggest that you should let nobles go after battle so that you can level your charm. Don't do that. Okay, always capture them, because the more you capture, the more it tilts the war in your favor. Also, another great thing you can do with nobles you captured, especially as the newest Sturgian noble trying to make some connections and some political allies, just grab you a scoop of nobles and then come to the dungeon of any town or castle. And if you put those nobles inside the dungeon, you donate them, you'll see you'll get a ton of influence, which is going to allow you to what? Build an army to fight off any armies that come to take your castle. And you'll see you'll get a ton of relationship. Now, you'll be doing such a good job with this castle that he'll keep throwing you other castles, and I actually do give those ones back. I don't want a bunch of different castles all over the place. You really need to stay in the neighborhood of Nevyansk here, because the second they declare war, those big 1,200, 1,600 Valandian armies come, and you need to be able to summon a giant Sturgian army. So you just use your personal party to run around and defend your villages. And if trouble comes that you can't handle, then you just summon a big-ass army and handle it. That's all you got to do. If you ever want to get a real good look at a castle, just go into photo mode and you can just fly around. But look, isn't this awesome? It's even got the little houses built into the wall. One of my favorite things about the castle is the gate, because you'll see the siege engine has to come all the way up in here. And here, your archers and or your javelin axe throwing troops are free to launch all their shit down in here. So you can rain some disgusting death down on all these guys out here waiting to try to push through this choke point. And look how awesome that keep is. Isn't that cool? I love this game so much. The only real drawback to this castle is the maze that you have to run up and down and all around to get where you're going. And it can become a real cluster when whole units are moving to and fro. But this castle is lethal, and it can be a disaster to try to take, especially if you fill it with a bunch of Sturgian heavy infantry. You can devour armies. I just ride this fief all the way up until I'm like clan tier 5, or until, you know, it gets taken from me, which does happen from time to time. But don't be discouraged. You come back and you take it again. I mean, you know, shit happens. Sometimes you bite off a little more Valandians than you can chew, and you don't make that same mistake twice. Sometimes, if they're fighting with the Khazaits, all the nobles are out there, and they're not going to get here in time. So then you're on your own, and then it's good luck with the castle defense. Try to make sure you have level 3 workshops as quickly as possible. You throw those on top of some level 3 walls, and then gardens and granary. Get those 4 up as quickly as possible. Everything else can wait. And then when you're done building, run that irrigation to get your villages built up. And then what will happen is, as you continue to fight and crush and get even more influence, eventually you will get very rich and very powerful, and your clan will grow very powerful. So powerful, in fact, you'll be able to summon your own personal army. And this is what happened for Jarl Beowulf, as he just got damn rich and damn powerful. And it just so happened that Prince Ragnvad and all the armies of Sturgia were in the east fighting the Khazaits, and so I took the opportunity. I did it, Bannerlords. I broke up with my kingdom and went out on my own. And then I got to looking at the map and I thought, boy, Revel sure looks defensible. Here we go again, another example of archers being worthless. Look, they got those Sturgian archers up there. What are they doing? It's snowing and they suck, and we got big-ass shields. That's like the trinity of do not build archers. Now you gotta watch out from above, because they'll drop those little rocks, little bastards. This is where it gets blue-collar. This is where you gotta punch in and go to work. Goddamn rocks. So I took Revel, and of course I'm going to need that Istakalt castle too. All you really need to do in engineering is get up to where you have fire pots, so you can have 2 int and just throw 5 focus points in. You're going to get plenty of them. I mean, you could probably do 3. But all you need to do is get to engineering level 150. Because once you get this talent, you no longer make ancient siege weapons. Now you make 155mm howitzers. You can see once again the enemy garrison is full of a bunch of archers. And here we are in the beautiful Sturgian snow with our shields and our heavy armor. Yes, they'll hit you. Yes, they'll stick out of your armor, but they're only hitting for like 3 or 4 damage. Right here to me is the ultimate early kingdom setup. You have a great city that gets a ton of food, so its prosperity can just soar. On top of that, it's so easy to protect these villages, so they just grow and grow and grow, and they're not getting raided, so their hearths get up there very quick. I mean, I'm already at 863. I mean, you'll see these hearths will get up to 1600. You'll have parties of like 100 villagers going to town. I mean, they get massive, and they're bringing in the goods. But let's do remember that while currently Revel has it better than anybody, the second that War Sales launches, this town is going to turn into the new Tyal. I mean, everybody's going to be hitting this thing from the sea everywhere. So you got to enjoy the 300 playthrough while you can, if you ask me, because you just have this beautiful defensive position. Your lands are thriving. You've got plenty of reinforcements if you need them, and you can just come out here and cause terror and mayhem. And all you do is protect your lands and farm up until you're clan tier level 5, and then you're ready to go on the offensive, right? You get your big-ass army ready. You get all your personal parties. I can even have another one here if I need it. And then you begin dominating. Here I've taken Varcheg and Kranerog Castle. Also, I've recruited a couple clans here, a tier 4 and a tier 5 that I've taken from Sturgia, so that weakens them. And we just took off Castle, and I'm wanting to take Omar. However, The Sturgians are sick of my shit, and they brought a big old man army out here to put me down. And what did I tell you the best way to defend a castle is? Put an army together and go save it. Now you can see we've got a pretty good garrison and militia in here, but they're out of food, so pretty soon that garrison's going to be gone. Now, if this is too much of an army for you to handle, you can't just wait for them to start sieging, and then their numbers are going to start coming down. With these level 3 walls and this siege stuff up, this auto count could get ugly for them and drop them very easily under a 1,000-man army, and then you can hit them. Or you could just be a goddamn man. Now remember, the thing with these big-ass battles like this is that you don't want your forces to get spread out. So once you break them, sometimes it's good to reform, because what will happen is your cavalry will eventually get overwhelmed because the reinforcements will just continue to spawn on them as they advance further and further away from your infantry. Let's get to work, fellas. And you can see this beautiful archer line that's just begging for some charging. Royal Charger with the charge banner, hitting these guys for like 20, 30 each. It's tempting to get out the two-handed axe, but with all these archers and high-level units out here at the start of a battle, I usually just use my lance and my shield. Remember, these big 2,000-man battles, they can go on for a while, so don't get in a hurry. That's what you got. Shit, that's the shit I got to be careful of. So I'm trying to avoid taking a bunch of damage early. Now they're kind of backing out. And look, you want to keep your pursuit up and kill as many of these guys as you can. But when you start to see the enemy infantry, let's see, sometimes if you get up on this hill, let's see what we're pulling up into here. Do we need to reform? Yeah, here they come. Okay, so I want to pull my guys back now. And I want to get my infantry line reestablished so that we're ready to kick ass. Let our boys here soften them up with the axes. There goes our crew. Here comes this other crew. Perfect. That's what I like it to look like. Should we get the two-hander out? I feel like maybe, but I don't know. The charge damage plus the lance is just so sufficient. I feel like we should wait until we really need to mop up the peasants. Still a lot of javelins out here and stuff. And I do believe it's time for that two-hander. That great harvester. And now we just live that Sturgian warlord dream. Don't like to have to do this to them, but you have to. Because you want the few that do live to tell about the terror from the north. With his giant axe. Well, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna need some electrolytes after this one. I'm cramping, family. Tell your friends about me, motherfuckers. I know the grass always looks greener on those town fiefs, but I'm telling you, there's some real pluses to castles. And let's do remember, the water's greenest where it's watered. You give your castle a little love and you look after it, and it's going to give you a very smooth start. And you never know what opportunities may present themselves. Have fun out there. Vocal Home out.